Hello and welcome in. I am MissKinghorn and we are back here with another Sims 4 speed build, and this time we are working on something very interesting, at least from my point of view. Do let me know in the comments down below. So this has been a bit of a labour of love for several months. I actually started to do this probably beginning to mid-January. It has taken a while. Originally I was going to split this into two, so you're going to have the exterior and landscaping all as one, and then the sort of interior and that as a second video, but I decided not to, and I've just put it all in one. I feel like it wasn't really big enough to warrant two videos, but it was maybe a little bit too big to be one, so it's kind of in that middle little point in there. But let me know what you think sort of down below in here. But we are actually building a ginormous Georgian mansion, and yeah, it's been interesting. You are going to see a few little issues and gripes that I have with this build, and the reason why it took so long is because I built it and then I kind of got fed up with it and didn't actually come back into it for a while, and it was only really in the last week that I thought I'd better actually carry on and work on some of these that I've kind of got waiting around, sort of just ready to be built. So yeah, that's what we're doing in here. But yeah, so what makes this a Georgian mansion? Well, the Georgian architectural style is kind of very broad and very kind of, it covers basically the 18th century, so it's 100 years of architecture, and there's kind of categories and architectural styles in amongst there as well, which kind of make it quite a broad sort of style. But I've kind of gone for one that is very much like kind of the most simplistic, I think, because that's obviously the easiest to build, and I feel like it's probably the most recognizable to be built as well. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted. But the actual architectural style is popular from the reign of the first four kings, Georges of England, and it starts in 1714, which is the year of King George I's ascension, until 1830. So you can tell that's a huge big gap in there. And yeah, but obviously because that area was relatively peaceful and there was lots of money coming in and things like that, especially sort of in the wealthiest of sort of British society at that time, it saw a great increase in the building. So in obviously houses, country houses, townhouses, as well as sort of civic buildings, so like your town halls, your churches, your cathedrals, your government buildings, as well as your industry areas as well, all take this sort of architectural style. So yeah, this is kind of a series that I've wanted to do for a while, to be fair, and it kind of brings together two of my loves, which is obviously building in The Sims and sort of historic architecture and kind of old buildings and things like that. So I'm super excited to do a few more throughout sort of history, specialising probably more in British architecture than sort of elsewhere. But if anybody has any styles or maybe eras or anything like that you would like to see built in The Sims, then do let me know. We might just come along and do that. I have a few ideas of what I would like to do in the future, but nothing sort of concrete, and I feel like it's going to be something that I kind of drip feed in. It's not going to be like every single build is going to be a historic build. So yeah, you're going to see here and there, mixed in with obviously all of the normal builds that I do in obviously The Sims, and yeah. Now, I said earlier on about pet peeves. these columns. Oh my. Okay, you are going to see some magic tricks, because suddenly they're fixed, now they're not. Suddenly they're fixed, now they're not. Yeah, I went mental with these columns. It doesn't make any sense that they start at the top of foundations. So I ended up having to tool them into place, and then I didn't have delete protection on. My fault, I know, but yeah, they dropped that into the floor again, and then I fixed them, and they did it again, and again, and again. And so, yeah, I, in the end, just sort of left them, and they were the very last thing that were actually done, is that I fixed the columns for probably about the 7th time. So yeah, that's one reason why you didn't have this in January, because I got fed up with columns. In here, now obviously this, the exterior was all done before the castle kit. I wouldn't necessarily have used any of the castle kit for this kind of build anyway. It's slightly different styles into there, but obviously some of the windows and doors could have worked, but this was all done pre-kit, and yeah, I don't think you really need them, to be fair, to kind of make a historic house really work into here. But yeah, we have this sort of formal kind of entranceway in here, which is what I took inspiration from, which was the a gorgeous big house in Tottenham in London, and yeah, so basically I took loads of inspiration from that, especially for that frontal sort of central area, because I felt like it was a nice sort of drive-in, drive-out kind of area around that big fountain. And now the one that is about, let me just pull that up, Marble Hill in Twickenham, sorry, not Tottenham. Anyway, in there, they actually don't have anything in that front space. It's just kind of a nice big greens area. But I thought it looked a little bit empty, I've got to be fair. So I kind of ummed and ahed about putting like maybe a big oak tree or something. But I wanted a lot of sort of sunlight to come through that front. So that's why I kind of changed it out to a big sort of fountain. And I think it really works. And obviously that sort of Land Rover kind of old, maybe country kind of vehicle, I think looks pretty good in the front there as well, and it kind of all fits in with this theme. Now we are actually building this in Windenburg, so we're back in one of my favourite builds. It feels like ages since I've been in this world. Definitely need to come back and do a few more in here as well. So yeah, it's a good little lot tucked away out here as well, so it's a really nice sort of lot for your rich kind of Sims that maybe have reached the top of their sort of career. And it is a family home. It does have 4 bedrooms, so there is obviously lots of space for your Sims to sort of live in and grow, and yeah, perfect family home in that sense. But it's kind of more of like an ancestral home, like, you know, a few generations ago they built it. That's kind of what I'm thinking in here. But I've been waffling a lot, and we've kind of missed most of the back garden. I didn't have a lot to build with when it came to this back garden space. So we do have a pool. It is quite small, but I felt like it kind of fitted in with that kind of theme and the sort of look that I was going for in here. And then there is a large sort of patio area where you kind of can sit, you can maybe have a dinner party or friends over, that sort of thing in the sort of summer, that sort of thing. That's kind of what I was looking for in here. And then obviously there is a few bits and pieces from the romantic garden, which is a pack I rarely use, I've got to be fair, but I think it actually really worked for what I was looking for when it comes to like these marble or stone looking areas. And I do end up putting a little seat in there, and it's a really nice sort of romantic little space in back there. This hedging, I could not work out what I was trying to go for and sort of the style or the shape, So we end up going through quite a few of these. I apologise, it's my indecisions of what would look the best, and I kind of went for this one as kind of like a box hedge, kind of like it's cut sort of just above the stones wall, kind of separating the sort of plant areas to the kind of more social human areas in here. So yeah, this sort of back space, I actually quite like this. I feel like it's very realistic as well to a kind of home where they've sort of modernised it slightly. They've put in a pool, they've kind of decked out the garden sort of area, and then obviously because at the back of this we do have kind of an open space, it kind of felt like the garden extended past the size of the lot, at least in my head. I don't know, you can play however you want in here. And then this section here, I love these little pots from For Rent. There's so many of these little blank pots which kind of a little bit like rusty, a little bit used, and yeah, they work out really well for like putting your own little plants in, which is a lot better than sort of the bigger ones you can see on the other side where they come with a plant and you're kind of tied in with it, and you can't really do anything, although those pots are a little bit cleaner. In the end, I much prefer the sort of ones that I can put any plants in. And then this little sort of alfresco dining area, it looks kind of very Spanish, kind of so even maybe a little bit Italian, like alfresco dining, kind of outside in the evening, that kind of thing, which I thought was quite nice. I've got to be fair, it has rained every day here in the UK, probably up through January and into part of February, so yeah, dining outside is not really an option. But this is the new bit, so welcome into February. We are now working on the insides of this, and as I say, I was going to do this in two halves, so this is why there's now Sims on the lot, simply because I had put them in here, I had screenshotted all of the exterior, was all ready to go, to the point it actually was already in the editor, and I've just sliced this bit in at the end, and then redone lots of bits and pieces, screenshot wise, into here. But this is what took me so long. This is a monster of a detail build, and it actually really slowed my computer down. So yeah, it was a fun one to do, don't get me wrong, but it's a bit heavy in case of like objects, because anyone who knows me, and if you're watching this and you're still watching this, of course you still are, you'll know I don't scrape on clutter. It's everywhere, and it is. And this video is already very long, and I actually have cut out several rooms in this build. So yeah, the kitchen had to go, I'm afraid. The kind of bathrooms, yeah, have all gone. The laundry room, that's gone. Upstairs dining, living areas, yep, that had to go too. It was just so big that I'm afraid choices had to be made into here. But that's a nice sort of entrance foyer, kind of very open, very grand in there. I love the suits of armour as well. Just a little nod to their sort of ancestral past. Maybe many years ago it was a royal palace, or a knight lived here, or somebody connected to one of those Georges. That's kind of what I was thinking in here. And yeah, obviously I put in a family that are very modern, and they've all got new clothes and things like that, and obviously there's computers and there's technology and all sorts of things. So we are trying to drag an old house into the modern day, as best as we can, and as simple and as nicely as we can as well. Obviously there are builds out there that are very old, that have been completely knocked down and rebuilt into stuff that just doesn't really fit the style, and that's not something I wanted to do in here. Now, you would have seen this living room has gone from green to purple to turquoise. I struggled finding a colour theme for this build, and it doesn't really have one, and it took a while, and I didn't like it. And yeah, now we've got yellow in the garden, or in the back garden. We've got pink in the front. I think we've got kind of pink and kind of like beige in the entrance hall, and now we have turquoise and white. So yeah, that it wasn't ideal for anyone out there who is like me and everything has to kind of match. It was a little bit of an off one, but I do try and hint at little bits here and there, so like all the flowers are the same colour, and that's kind of like the flowers are interchangeable. That's kind of what I was thinking into here, as best as I possibly could in there. Anyway, I'm completely waffling about something nobody cares about into here. So yeah, this doesn't have a TV. It's kind of more of a formal kind of living space, like you would hold maybe receptions in here for guests or people that are just coming in for like the day, or kind of a soft sort of meeting room. That's kind of what I was thinking in here. And then I do actually have a TV sort of room upstairs that didn't make the cut. That's in the top sort of hallway, at the top of the stairs. It was a bit of a weird space, so I thought a TV area or another sort of seating area would work perfectly into here. But this is a tiny little office, smushed at the back here, and it is quite dark because they usually are. So lots of sort of dark woods coming in, and we actually use the panelling for rent, which is a new one. I haven't actually used, I don't think, this wood sort of wallpaper before, but it really worked in here. And then I struggled with the desk placement, and in the end I had to kind of custom move everything because just Tool wasn't taking all of it. It's totally my fault, but in the end it all works out really, really well. But I said earlier on that I was going to talk more about the architectural style and give you a little bit more information. So these kind of buildings are proportioned, so they're kind of very symmetrical, and you might find one like a sort of addition on the side that's like a newer kind of pop out sort of thing, but mostly they are well proportioned and are marked with an understated elegance. I didn't quite know what that really meant. I just thought it meant quite simple. It's kind of a little bit plain when it comes to, there's no gargoyles, there's no abundance of elegance, there's no, I mean, yes, it's very expensive, it's very posh, it's very over the top, but I think it's also in a way kind of simplistic. There's no out there features, there's no gold, there's no fine detail work, that kind of thing. I think that's something that I think would make it a little bit more simplistic, and that's kind of what I wanted to go for into here. So they're obviously based off of classical architecture from Greece and Rome, so they kind of take elements from other styles, and obviously it all grows and develops, as I say, over that huge 100-year period. A Georgian house or build from the 1740s would be completely would be completely different to one in the 1830s, because times have changed, styles have changed, technology's changed, building style has changed, and the kind of needs and wants of the buyer has also changed, and you just have to keep up, essentially. But they often appear, as I say, in either a brick or stone. So I think we've ended up going for quite a white, sort of light beige kind of brickwork in here, which I thought worked really, really well. And then there's obviously a few little bits of sort of stucco and stuff like that also can be used for this art period. And then obviously large sash windows. We have a lot of windows in this build. You would have seen them right at the beginning. They change quite a lot I was kind of going through several different window options, and in the end these ones kind of worked, and you actually realise they're quite low down. To try and get this in as best proportional as I possibly could, the ground floor is actually a medium wall height, whilst the top sort of this level that we're working on now is a small wall height. But that meant that it didn't quite work together, and so some of the windows had to be lower down and higher up, and it does make them a little bit awkward on the inside, but when I was doing them I was focusing on the outside and what looked better into there. But we are currently working on the bedroom, so this is the main sort of parents' bedroom in here. The I don't necessarily know what you would call it, master chamber, that feels very wrong. It's the main bedroom, let's put it that way. It does have a walk-in wardrobe and a massive ensuite in here as well. I don't show you any of them because yeah, we'll be here until next year. But yeah, it's got kind of everything that you would need for a really sort of large house like this, and it takes up a good proportion of this side of the house as well. It's huge, which is great until you come to building, furnishing it. And I did have a few issues of what to put in and where and things like that. So my kind of go-to for any kind of bedroom would be to put a little sofa in there, or a little chair or something, a couple of plants. And I feel like we did that and I still had loads of space because I didn't need to have like a dresser or wardrobe or anything. It kind of made it even more empty. Now we're going on to the kids' rooms. So the family that I created for this actually is quite a large family. They have 3 children. They have a teenage son who, when I actually created them, was a party animal and a bro. So that's kind of why this room is very messy. It's kind of in your face. It's a little bit loud, bright colours. I feel like with this, they've maybe moved in and they've tried to be somewhat sympathetic to the build, but they've kind of just gone, you know what, kids, you can just do whatever you want. You've got no budget, no expenses spared. Just go for it. And I feel like that's what these have done. And I think that works absolutely fine. If that's kind of what I wanted for in here. So this is a very bright sort of blue bedroom for their teenage boy. And here we've got obviously a big computer and this kind of very modern kind of wardrobe kind of set over here, and I feel like all sort of built-in sort of shelving and lots of storage and stuff like that. I think it works out here really, really well. It's kind of what I wanted this area to look like in here. We do obviously have lots of clutter coming through in here. That's the sort of TV room. You just saw this little sneak peek of it in there as I was moving that. Again, it's really simple. Couple of sofas, coffee table, rug, some end tables with some lights on, and then a TV on a TV stand. That's pretty much all there was in here. And there's the ensuite for the parents' bedroom in there. I'm giving you all the little hints as we go through this build as well. It's just because I'm trying to get it all to work and I can't click on anything without clicking stuff and adding it to the group. But yeah, as I say, very messy, very kind of bold, it's everywhere. There is lots of clutter and I feel like they don't bother to clear up after themselves. Maybe there's a maid, maybe there is somebody who comes in and deals with it all for them, or maybe they don't bother and they just like it to be a mess. You never know in here. But yeah, that's pretty much the teenage boy's bedroom all done. A few posters going on the wall, and then I think we come up to the next bedroom, which is another one, a little bit of a different one. So I actually used AI to kind of generate some ideas because I was struggling with these bedrooms. I kind of knew obviously who was going in here at this stage and kind of their personalities and stuff. So I tried to make themed rooms kind of work for them. So as I say, like this one, it's kind of a party animal, he's a bro, maybe an athlete, he likes his music, that sort of thing. And then this one is kind of completely different, and this one is a book lover, and they're actually a child. So it's a small child girl going into here, and yeah, I kind of took some inspiration from the other rooms where I kind of went, right, we need a full sort of modular kind of wall across here, and obviously the AI created this amazing picture as a little bit of a reference, kind of big bold walls in here, lots of sort of built-in furniture, and I tried my best to recreate it. Obviously not 100% correct in here, but yeah, I think it all works out really, really well. Lots of books coming through, and yeah, I'm happy with how this all looks. Now, one small little thing, we do actually use gallery artwork by the wonderful Alice T. That's actually in the kitchen. It's basically a marble splashback that I use in the kitchen. So yeah, you can sort of see that in the garden. It just reminded me of it in there. But the link to their gallery ID will be in the description down below, so you can go check that one out. And also, when this is uploaded to the gallery, you will also have their hashtags and stuff like that, so you can go and check those out. I use their artwork quite a lot. It's gorgeous, and yeah, definitely go and check those out into there. But this room, I wanted it big, I wanted it bold, I wanted sort of a little bit out there, a little bit like, it's kind of a little bit of a hodgepodge. Like, we've got this sort of older sort of bed, we've got very modern furniture, but I think it all sort of ties in really, really well with somebody who loves books, loves kind of maybe the older sort of classical sort of things. They've got this big Victorian doll's house, and kind of a mix of that furniture coming in as well. That's kind of what I was thinking with this room into here. And I don't actually think I've ever used that wallpaper. I think it came with high school. It's a bit out there. It may be alright if it's a big feature wall, but yeah, maybe not so much all the way in this room. But I think it kind of works in there with obviously the modern hints coming through in here. Now, I tried to use as much of the sort of three colours as I could, so obviously the pink, the blue, and sort of that yellowy kind of creamy colour. I kind of pulled out as much as I can, and we kind of have like a little stuffed toy collection in the corner here. I feel like maybe they've kept them, or I've used them from time to time, and obviously with the new little tiger that looks gorgeous, it just had to go down there with obviously the little teddy, and I think the other one's a cat from Cats and Dogs as well, which works perfectly for this sort of desk sort of corner area in here as well. And then the homework and the little journal in there with that sort of little small computer sort of tablet-y thing. That's a real good idea, isn't it? It's just a thing. I'm not entirely sure what it is. It's kind of got like a keyboard. Maybe it's like a laptop or something. I don't really know. It came with the pop kit, whichever one that was. Pastel Pop, that's the one. Anyway, we are on to our third bedroom, and this is another teens room. This is for our teenage girl, who also is a party animal, but is also very high maintenance. And the AI kind of gave me a kind of very gothic, kind of pink and black kind of feel, which I love, I've got to be fair, and I think this room really works. Totally different to anything else. Not really a theme I've kind of worked with before, but I thought this worked and kind of fitted really, really well. But we're very quickly coming to the end of this video. So if you have any ideas, any suggestions, maybe any housing sort of architectural styles you would like to see me build in the future, do let me know in the comments down below. And if you have enjoyed this video, then please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. You all mean so very, very much to me. And yeah, we'll see what we come up with in the future. But the end of this room, I kind of get in a little bit more pink. I feel like it was starting to get a little bit too black. So yeah, we have this gorgeous little chair. I don't actually know where this chair came from. It's kind of like an armless kind of chair. It feels like it's maybe a little bit modular without the modular aspect to it. But it sort of works in there quite nicely. And yeah. But until then, I will leave you with screenshots. But until next time, stay happy and stay building. Bye everyone!